Hey ladies, it is Coach Tamila, and I am going live today because I wanted to touch on part 2 of my 3-part video series talking about daddy issues in relationships. Now, for those of you that are new to the group, don't know me, again, I'm Coach Jamila. I'm a transformation life coach, but I'm also the creator of the online program Finding Love After Divorce. And this is an awesome program that really teaches you how to get over your ex-husband and get rid of that bitterness and anger. It helps you to realize how to stop attracting the wrong man, and then how to get clear on what it is that you want, out of a new relationship, and then how to succeed in one. So that is what that program is all about. But like I said, this is video 2. And so it's daddy issues in relationships. And today we're talking about when your father was not around, or abandonment issues. So what's the issue? So when your father abandons you, okay, that means maybe he was unaware of your existence, or he was and just never was there. You maybe met him one time, or, not at all, okay? So what that does to you as a little girl, what it is that you say to yourself is, well, if my own father doesn't, if my own father doesn't want me, why would any other man want me? And what's interesting is that even if you had a really good stepfather or good male role model or father figure, still in the back of your mind, it's something that eats away at you as a woman as you grow up, because it ate away at you as a little girl, because children can't process this kind of stuff. And so what they do is they internalize it, like I talked about in my other video, and make it about themselves. And so then something's wrong with me because my father doesn't want me, okay? And so then you grow up with this feeling that there's something lacking or bad or that's within you, and that's why, he's not around, and why you, feel unworthy in a sense. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so what happens when you grow up? So when you get into relationships and you don't feel worthy because you feel like, again, if my own father didn't want me, why would anyone else want me? When you enter into relationships with men, what happens is you may tend to actually attract men who are users, abusers, and, just who will mistreat you. And what you will do, another one is cheaters. They'll be cheating too. And you'll put up with all of it. Because what you'll say to yourself is, well, having a man is better than no man. Or at least he calls me. Or at least he comes home to me. At least he's here. Because remember, in the back of your mind as a little girl, my father wasn't here, so he's better than him. And, and at least he's doing these things for me. And so that validates the fact that I feel that I'm unworthy, that I'm unlovable because my dad wasn't around. But this guy, he comes home, he texts me, he calls me, but he cheats. He hits me. He yells at me. He's not really a good person. He wastes my money. He's gambling, whatever. But I'm just so happy to have a man, that, gives me some attention, even though I have to beg for it. And I'm not going anywhere because I don't want to lose him. And so I'm going to check his phone and be all overly anxious and overly zealous and acting like I got the best thing from sliced bread, and there's some woman out there that actually wants to deal with him. And if she did, let her have him. But you're not coming from that place because you're so desperate for that love and attention. And so when your father is not in your life, when he abandons you as a little girl, it affects you as a woman. And if you don't make the connection and get the clue, you will keep playing this out. Everything we do in our lives is a pattern. We play the same scenarios out from our childhood over and over and over in hopes of some type of a resolution. But we have to be mature enough to recognize the pattern, and then we have to be self-reflective enough to be willing to do the work to change it and then move forward. And so when your father is not around, and then in video Number one, when I talked about, when he's just emotionally unavailable, of course, they're very similar, right? But when he's not around, it really just drives home that point. And we're just, I'm here talking to women, women who've been through an unwanted divorce or who've been divorced and have been in post-divorce relationships and gotten their heart broken again, or maybe got married again and got it wrong again and can't figure out why. And it's not always true that there's a link between your father, not always, but more often than not. The father's role in the family is so significant. I don't know if you knew this or not, but at least when it comes to men, 80% of the men who are in prison grew up in a home without a father. And so we can really see how that affects them. But how it affects women is they go out into the world with no clue and all these feelings of unworthiness and seeking that love and attention in all the wrong places. It's cliche, but it's true. And so what can happen is that when you haven't had really that strong male influence, or you feel like you have been abandoned, is when you do get into a relationship with a man, a lot of times you may feel anxious. You may feel scared to be yourself because you may feel like you need to walk on eggshells because you're so terrified that you're going to say or do something that's going to cause him to leave. And you may find that maybe you've experienced that scenario playing out, that every man that you do get with, no matter how hard you try, he does leave, because the fact is, the mind is attracted to what's familiar, not what's good for you. And if you don't take a look, that 30,000 foot view and examine, wait a minute, what's going on? Why does this keep happening? You can't take this position, well, all men are dogs or whatever. No, you keep attracting the dogs for a reason. They're not all dogs. People are getting married every day. People are living happy every day. So why is it that that's not happening for you? That's the only question you ever need to ask yourself, is what do I need to think, believe, and do differently within myself to get what I want? Because I don't want this. But when you're on autopilot and when you're unconscious and you're not awake to your pattern or what you're doing, then you're just doomed to keep repeating it. Now, there's always exceptions. Sometimes you may actually meet a great guy, even though you're coming to the table with all this baggage. But what often happens when we come to the table with all this baggage is we end up sabotaging the relationship or being the one that's toxic in the relationship. And we end up losing it anyway, or feeling guilty because we've mistreated someone because we've been trying to work out all our issues on them. Okay. So what can you do when you're in this situation? Well, that I'm going to talk about in my third video, which is talking about how to overcome, these daddy issues, because it is so important to address that link there and then to clear it up. But ultimately, all it really boils down to is the fact that you have a hole there. There's a hole that's empty. As a child, when you're born, you are entitled to a mother and a father that love you. That is your God-given right. But we know the world is in shambles, and that's not true. And most of us don't get that. But you come out with that need for both. And when you don't get that, and then you learn that he made a conscious decision to have nothing to do with you, that's a wound. And you have to heal that. And once you heal that, basically, essentially giving yourself what he didn't give you, which is those feelings of worthiness, being worthy of love, being worthy of attention, being valuable, being important. You essentially have to, in a way, kind of reparent yourself. And you can absolutely give yourself all those things. And when you do, then you can become whole and move forward and be successful in relationships with men. So that's all for this video. You'll have to stay tuned for the third video. Like I said, in that one, I'm going to talk about overcoming issues. And I'm actually going to do it here today because with everybody being on lockdown, I'm here with my son all the time. He's 2, so it's not like my life has significantly changed, but I want to make sure I get that done so that you have something to work on during this time. If you're home from work, during this time that you have to really focus on yourself, it's going to be a really great exercise. And like I said, I'm going to share that with you in the next video. So stay tuned, okay?